Hi everyone, this is Miss P, and today we're going to talk about dividing fractions, specifically dividing a fraction by a whole number. Let's start with this example, 1/5 divided by 3. This is a fraction, 1/5 divided by 3, which is a whole number. When you're dividing a fraction by a whole number, you can keep in mind the same rule that we use for dividing two fractions or dividing one fraction by another fraction. And that is keep, change, flip. 3 steps. Just like when you're dividing two fractions, you do these 3 steps in order. You keep the first part of your equation, or the fraction. You change the second part of the equation, or the operation, and you flip the third part of the equation, or in this case, the whole number. And that's a little bit trickier than it was when we were dividing two fractions, but we'll talk about how to do that in just a minute. Okay, let's get started rewriting this equation in a way that will make it easier for us to solve it. So we're going to start by keeping the first part of the equation. We're going to keep 1/5. Next, we're going to change the second part of the equation, or the operation. Since our equation is a division problem, we're going to switch that to the opposite operation of multiplication. Finally, we're going to flip the third part of the equation, which in this case is the whole number 3. Now, you might ask yourself, how do I flip a whole number? Well, if you remember, a whole number can always be written as a fraction by putting that whole number in the place of the numerator and putting the number 1 in the place of the denominator. So now that we've thought about our whole number as a fraction, 3/1, we can go ahead and flip that into 1/3. Now that we've done all 3 steps of our process, keep, change, and flip, we can solve by multiplying the two fractions. Now remember, it's much easier to multiply two fractions because when you have two fractions, you simply multiply the numerators, in this case 1 times 1 equals 1, and then you multiply the denominators. In this case, 5 times 3 equals 15. Now that we've solved the converted multiplication problem, we can apply that to the original equation of 1/5 divided by 3, and we can determine that 1/5 divided by 3 equals 1/15. Let's try this again using a different equation. In this case, we will divide 3/8 divided by 5. Let's go through the 3 steps. First, we'll keep the first part of the equation, 3/8. Next, we'll change the operation. Division becomes multiplication. That's the opposite operation of division. Finally, we'll flip the last number in the equation. In this case, it's the whole number 5. So we will take the number 5 and write it as a fraction, 5/1. Which is the equivalent of 5 wholes. And then we will go ahead and flip 5/1 to become 1/5. Now that we've completed all 3 steps, we can multiply the numerators. 3 times 1 equals 3, and then multiply the denominators. 8 times 5 equals 40. We have our answer here, which we can apply back to our original equation, and we can determine that 3/8 divided by 5 equals 3/40. Remember, anytime you're dividing fractions, you should keep, change, and flip. But don't forget that if the number you're dividing by is a whole number, think of it in terms of a fraction by taking that whole number and making it the numerator of a fraction where 1 is the denominator, and then you can flip it in order to complete your equation as a multiplication problem. Let me know if you have any questions below.